Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Joshua Aura. I teach CPA, ATD, CFFE, Advanced Excel courses at RCM Online College, which basically is a virtual institution, meaning that we do not have any physical classes where we teach students physically from. If you want to make any inquiries, we have an office at Corner House, Nairobi. Corner House, Nairobi is along Kimathi Street. You simply go all the way to 13th floor of Corner House, 13th floor of Corner House. You'll be able to get us there. And please don't forget that we are the authors of these particular books, RCM Online College books. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very carefully. We are here today for one objective, to talk about how do you get to pass your Kasneb exams on the very first attempt, on the very first round. I have taught for 20 years plus. And over this number of years of teaching experience, I've encountered two groups of students. There are those students who will come right away, tackle the exam papers, Kasneb CPA papers, in 1.5 years. These guys are up there saying that we have just finished. They come for graduation. And then there is this other group of students that will take more than 10 years. Actually, I know of a few people that I taught somewhere in 002. Up to now, they have never finished. And it's not that those people are stupid. Don't be surprised that those guys are bright. The only thing that they don't have is the exam handling technique. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will be talking about exam preparedness later. How do you prepare for exams? Here I am to talk about how do you tackle these papers on the examination day. The examiner has brought, in this case here, an advanced financial management paper, which is in some funny color. They place that paper on your desk like this. What should you do as a student? Of course, depending on your faith, there are those students in this case here who will pray first. Very important. Even the one, I always pray before I start tackling any exam. I believe in the power of what here? Prayers. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I will always emphasize on, you should never panic when you get that paper being placed on your table like this, on your desk like this. Never panic. Confidence is a key ingredient towards you passing your exams on the very first attempt. You must be a confident person. I remember one day I was an invigilator in some institution. I gave, in this case here, some paper to a gentleman who was as old as I was. Must have been in his 30s those days, not now. Now I'm a bit old, right? So somebody that I could see, really, this is my age mate. So I placed this paper before this man. The next thing that I saw was a lot of water, sweat, on his forehead, right? Next thing, in this case here, this man was shaking like this, right? In a minute, I'd been able to collect his calculator that had fallen down on the floor. I was putting that calculator on his desk like this. Next thing, it is all pens which are again on the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, your guess is as good as mine. That kind of a student could not pass in that paper. Not that that student was stupid. Not that that student was not well prepared. What caused this student was what here? Panic, lack of confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, what I normally tell my students, go to this particular paper just like how you'd have gone to do a continuous assessment test. It's a normal thing. It's a normal exam. Don't panic. It's not a matter of life and death. No, you've been surviving even without this paper. So go to this paper, ladies and gentlemen, in the very normal way. Try to attempt this paper in a very confident way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, The moment now you've been given this paper, you're confident, you're smiling through as you peruse the paper. Try to look at the paper, right? And of course, where I will start perusing my paper from is the instructions. Instructions are very important. Like nowadays, we have these particular papers like leadership and management, where they'll tell you, in this case, you have to do the first question, which is compulsory, and then you select. Right? So understanding instructions is really very important. And remember, instructions, basically, these are prerogatives of Kasneb. They can decide to change the instructions anytime, and you cannot take them to court. Saying that, but we have past papers here. No. It's always important for whichever paper, just read the instructions, start from there. Right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, after I do that, then I'll straight away start scanning through my paper. Right? So I look at question number 1, try to understand the questions which are there, go to question 2, slowly like that. I'm taking like my first 5 to 10 minutes to scan through all the questions. Once I scan through all the questions, I'll start, of course, the examiner now I said, start. Never start writing before the examiner gives you that signal. If you start writing before you're given that signal, that is examination malpractice, which can put you into problems with Kasneb. So once in this case here, this person has signaled, hey, you guys start. So what I'll do, I'll take this question paper. Of course, when I was scanning through my questions, there must be that question which I saw, hey, this one is quite doable. That is the question I will start with. And how do I start? I'll open my answer booklet. Go to page number 1, page number 2 of my answer booklet, and use those like 2 first pages, like my rough draft pages. So I'll go to my rough draft pages. So I say, for example, question number 5 was the easiest for me. In this case here, what do they want me to discuss in question number 5? For example, they wanted me to discuss Henry Fayol's what year? Henry Fayol's 14 principles. So if it is Henry Fayol's 14 principles, what do I remember about them? I remember what we call that. You see USSR in Russia. Oh, yes, I see 14 principles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'm trying in this case here now to see which models will I pick, will I use, right? So for question number 5, they have asked me about these 14 principles. And then, of course, if you are in a good classroom, like my classroom, right, then straight I will be able to remember some of these acronyms. So I'll be able to jot down, like the first D stands for disciplined workers. So I'm just jotting down. A stands for what year? Authority. U stands for whatever, remuneration. We have order. We have what we call esprit de corps. So I'm just writing like short sentences there, right? I go to another question. So perhaps the other question that I could remember very fast is question number 4, assuming this is auditing and assurance. Auditing and assurance, and then they ask me something to do with substantive test. Substantive test, in this case, if you can recall, I know it is R, A, E, O, U. I'm just trying to remember these things. Substantive tests. R, A, E, O, U. But number 1, I have to do what we call analytical procedures. A stands for an inquiry and third-party confirmation. Then we have I, inspection. So I'm writing down inspection. O, in this case here, is observation. U stands for what we call recalculation. So I'm just jotting down my key points. I'm not explaining anything, right? I'm not explaining anything, right? I go to the next question, which in this case here seemed easy. Still on the rough drafts. I'm just pinpointing. Now, after I finish that, ladies and gentlemen, I will straight away now go to open a fresh page where I start now my working. The rough draft will be cancelled. Remember, Kasneb has issued new instructions where you're not required to write on the examination paper. If you write on the examination paper, that is malpractice, right? It can lead to cancellation of your results. That's why we are saying that use your answer booklet. After all, these answer booklets, even if you need 20 of them, that is your property. Kasneb will give as much as you want of those examination answer booklets to you. So there is no harm in wasting like the first 2 pages with what are my rough drafts, which I'll be able to cancel and now straight away go to question. The rough draft doesn't have to be from the front. The rough draft can be from the back. Because again, you would want to maintain a good image. Don't start with canceling. The examiner should not see that you started. So start your rough draft from the back, right? You're jotting down points there. After you finish, of course, you'll be able to signal that, hey, don't mark this work. This was rough draft at the back there, right? Now, from there, go to your real thing, what I call go live. So now you go live. So you started with question number 1. So question number 1, the one that is easier to you. Like, for example, if it's these analytical procedures that I would want to start with now when I'm going live. So when I'm going live, it's this substantive test. So I'll start with the first one. For example, analytical procedures. I write like that, right? That is the first substantive test. Right there, number 1, underline. The first substantive test is analytical procedures. And then try, ladies and gentlemen, to put now meat onto this particular title. And analytical procedures, for example, explain like in paragraph format. Say under analytical procedures, I would calculate ratios and observe trends, right? I would do comparisons. I would compare ratios of this quarter with ratios of the same quarter of last year and see the trends, right? If it is, for example, this inquiry and third-party confirmations, I'll do circularization of debtors, send them, in this case here, letters asking them to confirm their balances with the firm. I will talk to third parties because third parties' evidence is more reliable. And the inspection, for example, I'll come and talk over, I will review. No, inspection is the easiest. I will review, in this case here, vouchers. I'll trace these figures that were paid to the bank statement. You keep on talking like that to add a lot of meat to your work like that. So from there, again, go to next easiest question like that. And interestingly, of course, when you are answering these questions, there must be that question perhaps coming from emerging trends where in this case here, you will not be able to get yourself knowing anything. The rule is you shall never leave any question blank. Even if you know nothing, you'd rather write a dog is a dog than leaving a question what here blank. Kasneb is a very fair and friendly examining body. At times when they are doing their moderation of marking exams, they may decide and say, hey, let's try to see who wrote something, however small, in this particular word here, in this particular question, because some papers, most of the papers, will be returned with that particular section, which is blank. At least for you wrote something. You wrote a dog is what here? A dog is a dog. You wrote something. Of course, I know you guys are bright. You can't write what I'm saying. I'm so sure you'll be able to jot down something. So the trick here that I'm giving to you, you would want to pass round 1, ensure that you shall never leave any stone unturned. You shall never leave any stone unturned. So you must answer your questions very well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the number of years that I've taught these Kasneb papers, time is a killer in examinations. In examinations, time is a killer. There is not a single question of Kasneb that has been designed for anybody to take more than 40 minutes in a single question. No, maximum should be 40 minutes on the higher side. So however juicy a question looks like, you shall never stay in that question for more than 40 minutes. Once in this case here, the 40th minute hits like this, please leave that question even if it's not complete and go to tackle another different question. It's always better for you to move between questions to ensure that at the end of the day, you are able to at least give a response to each and every question asked. It's always very important for you to know that, ladies and gentlemen. Very important. Because I've seen like students in group consolidation, they take 1.5 hours to do one question. And then the 1.5 hours that is left, because of course your time is 3 hours, the 1.5 hours that are left will not be enough for the 4 questions. It means that there are questions that will be returned blank. Or even if you tried answering them, you may not have given them your best. For Mike's sake, I know any minute, extra minute that you put beyond the 40 minutes in a question, that is wasted time. There is always a higher chance of you picking up better number of marks in a new question than the marks would have picked by overstaying in an old question. New is better. New is better. A new broom sweeps better. Always go to a new question the moment you realize in this case here that, hey, this question I've overstayed in it. I've hit my 40, go to a new question like that. And then I'm not putting 40 like it's money. No. At times you may go to a question, you realize it's advanced financial management. You realize that this question is too heavy for you, right? So you'd rather, in this case, instead of spending a lot of time there, just leave that question there in the answer booklet, leave enough space for it, assuming that later on you'll be able to get time to come and really think through it. So if the question is so hard, just write a title there, whatever is there, leave the space. Good space. Again, don't ever think that that examination booklet is limited. Leave enough space for that work. If the exam booklet, of course, is over, you'll still ask for more from your invigilator like that. Great. So time management. If you're not good in time management, you shall never pass Kasneb examinations. You shall never pass Kasneb what year examination. So it's very important for you to pick that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen and listen to me very well. Remember, this free of charge session is coming to you from RCM Virtual College, Zoom College, from myself. And as I told you in the introduction, my name is Dr. Joshua Aura. I'm a member of ISPAC. I sit in the committees of the board of ISPAC as we speak. I'm a member of ACCA. I've taught over 20 years. If you look at my YouTube channel, it has got quite significant number of followers. I would really request you to subscribe to my channel so that in the future, whenever I post any video, you will be able to get a notification. And then, of course, you'll be able to do what here to watch my videos. And of course, I promise you high quality content videos touching on what here, for example, interviews, right? For example, prospects in the job market. Those of you that I've taught before, you know that I am a serious person. I've advised and I help so many accountants in Kenya. So please subscribe. Don't forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, the other thing that I normally know, students do not know how to harvest low-hanging fruits, especially for computational papers, especially for what year? Computational papers. For computational papers like advanced financial reporting, students don't know how to harvest what we call low-hanging fruits. If you go to any paper, like even if it's advanced financial reporting, you realize that question 1 has got A, B, C, right? A in most cases will be a theory question. For example, they'll ask you a theory question. For example, they'll ask you about components of integrated reporting, differentiate between IPSAS 9 and IPSAS 23, right? So this one here will be having theory, and of course, theory marks, they could easily give you like say six marks. Right? And then, of course, this could be computational, or also theory. If you go to question number 2, the same, there must be a theory question. So nowadays, if you look at theory questions are 6 times 5, if they're 6 times 5 like that, theories, ladies and gentlemen, constitute about 30%, at least on the lower side, 30% of these computational papers. I've seen some papers at times having up to 40% theory. So then theory papers, theory questions, what should you do? Number 1, don't leave any stone unturned. You must always ensure that you jot something, right? If, for example, you go to advanced financial management and then you realize that they want you to give them in some particular question, factors that influence exchange rates. I know exchange rates will keep on fluctuating depending on the interest rates, depending on level of water inflation, right? I know, ladies and gentlemen, there is something to do with balance of water payments. I must write something there. And as I write on these theoretical papers, please let's refrain from this thing of just writing one-line answers. No, in most cases, these examiners will tell you to describe. They'll tell you to describe. So in this case, you try again to put meat onto what here, onto your, these one lines by doing paragraphs. If, for example, you say balance of payments, like balance of payments, when the balance of payment is negative, it means that we are importing more. And if you're importing more, the imports, you need dollars. So the more you are importing, the more dollars you need. And of course, if the demand of the dollars in the local market rises, the price of the dollar goes up, right? Meaning that your local currency value goes down. You need more Kenya shillings to procure a dollar, right? So because the demand of this dollar will keep on fluctuating here and there, then the exchange rate will do what? It will keep on changing, etc. Right? So always try to write your answers in form of what here? Paragraphs like that. Right? And then come, for example, it's financial reporting, ladies and gentlemen, part B. These guys will come and tell you to give them a statement of consolidated comprehensive incomes. So a good student, of course, for these statements, always come up with your pro forma, what we call the pro forma structure. The pro forma structure. So pro forma structure, for example, you know, if it's an income statement. If it's an income statement, you know that there is sales. There is, in this case here, cost of sales. And you're consolidating and you've been able to see the group structure that you have a parent and subsidiary. Then what do? You will, for example, come and take, say, if it sales it's 5 plus the sales of the subsidiary maybe 3, and maybe you stayed with this subsidiary, say, for how many months in the year? Say 6/12, like that. So the most important is this pro forma, the structure. Just the structure. If you're a good student who understands the structures of these statements, we have the income statement, we have the statement of financial position. Just by understanding the structure alone, trust you me, you will end up getting like 20%. The structures of those statements, you'll end up getting about 20% of the mark structure, because you write the structure income statement, and then if it's consolidating, just put together. And remember, there are those things that may not require any adjustments. So knowing the structure, you are confident, you've known the structure, you've mastered the concept of time, etc. You're moving on progressively like that. So if you ensure that you maximize on the theory marks, then we have the theory, or rather the structuring marks, like 20. Trust you me, you will need very few marks out of what your computations, right? And that is why you will get some students who are not so clever, putting that in quotes because I know all of us are clever, right? At times passing exams, leaving down very clever students. You know, at times cleverness could be a hindrance towards your success, because at the end of the day, you will get people who are very clever. They tend to think so much that those heavy thoughts will automatically make sure that they will, for example, exceed the time limits per question. I'm not saying that you should not be clever. Please try to understand me. The concept is just go to this exam confident and ensure that you know the structures, and ensure that you are widely read, or ensure that, of course, for you to be able to tackle some of the theory papers, you need to have gone to a class of somebody who masters. And of course, if you ask anybody, we are the biggest #1 college, online college, supporting 2,000 plus students. So if you want to become part of this great online community of online learners, please call us. These are our numbers, right? Because you know there are teachers, for example, you are teaching auditing, who will not tell you like, we have got COVID-19 versus going concern, right? Contemporary issues. You know, COVID has brought many businesses to a standstill. So there are businesses in this case here that will not be there, or rather even they may have even died. So their going concern, ladies and gentlemen, is in doubt. So as an auditor then, in light of this COVID-19, what are you supposed to be doing when you are thinking of auditing, right? So #1, I know that it is not my role to assess the company for going concern status. That is the role of directors. So directors, when they are preparing their financial statements, they must really be able to give us a comment regarding the going concern. They must assess their own company, right? So for me as the auditor, my role will be to evaluate those assumptions, look at their forecasts. If in this case here, there are any letters of support, For example, we have a parent company which is in a different country saying even if there is a lot of COVID there, even if this subsidiary has got issues there, we endeavor, we pledge to support them should they reach this level, right? So the moment I look at those forecasts, reasonableness of those assumptions, etc., and I have letters of support here, I'll be able to say, hey, then this company is what here is a going concern, right? Is a going concern. So in this case, you need to be really exposed. You need to be really exposed. Exposure, like something like money laundering. Money laundering, ladies and gentlemen, is something that is quite a key, because money laundering has become a global threat, right? This concept of washing dirty money, to launder is to clean. So a good student cannot go to an exam without appreciating what money washing is, what money laundering is. A good student will not go to an exam without knowing that we have got three layers, not layers, but three basic steps of washing dirty money. The first one, if you can remember, the first one is placement. So under placement, like you saw in this particular bank in the UK, which is the hugest bank, the biggest bank in the UK, it's called NatWest, right? So NatWest was approached by a client, and this client in this case here opened an account with them. This client here called Bradford, right? When they were joining NatWest, they were making, in this case here, an annual turnover of 15 million pounds. And then things changed for this company called Brad. We call it Brad. They started, ladies and gentlemen, bringing into the company, into the bank, crazy monies. Every year, an average of 75 to 80 million dollars every year in cash, bringing them, right? The bank never bothered to ask, hey, you guys, when you came, whatever you brought to us shows that your annual turnover is 15 million. What is not happening? And surprisingly, these guys were bringing this money to the branches of NatWest in bags. And this money was in Scottish currency. UK, of course, you'll be able to get Scottish currency, but not in huge amounts. And we are told, ladies and gentlemen, that these Scottish notes were even smelling like they were coming from digi places. But the bank never saw that as a red flag. They continued, in this case, stacking this money for them. So what basically this Brad company was doing, they got into business of selling drugs in Scotland, Edinburgh, to be specific. So they could take this money from drugs and mix it with their good money. It was a jewelry farm. So money that they sell, jewelry, good, plus money that they sell, in this case here, drugs, they put them together in business. So they were placing dirty money with this good money. And then now after the placement, now they were taking this money to a bank account. So placed there, like it's good money now. General business from business. Nobody can know that it's bad money plus good money, right? So they're putting it there. So after putting there, then what were they doing? Straight away, the brand now was engaged in layering, coming up with different strata, where in this case, they could now, they don't want a lot of money to be seen in their account. So they layer this. They send some of these monies here to tax havens. They send some of these monies here to banks in Portugal, right? To banks in Cayman Islands. Isle of Man. I know you guys understand the concept of tax havens. Students who are exposed should be able to understand this. So they were layering like that. Remember, they are trying to conceal. They're trying to conceal dirty money. They don't want somebody to know that. So of course, after layering, so we have partner. We have, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we've been able to place this money. We've been able to layer it. And then at the end of the day, we have what we call integrating. Now, this money, some of it is in Portugal, another one. So how do we integrate? We bring this money from Portugal, some of it, we invest in real estate here in Kenya, right? Another amount from here, we pump into the same real estate. So we come up with this behemoth of our building, right? And then now we'll be walking all over in town. We're not working, telling people how we used to be poor, how God is great, how God can raise somebody from the dust, from grass to what here, grace. People don't know that it's only that you got some dodgy money, bad money, and you were able to wash it. You did what we call wash. Like that. That's what they call money laundering. So questions of money laundering are quite common. Don't go to exams without, regardless of the paper, knowing that integrated reporting, etc. So if you are so much exposed, chances are, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to get those questions there and then pour down the knowledge that you have there, right? And then you have the sketches, right? And then, of course, you have now the knowledge. You have the knowledge. Most importantly, time management, confidence, etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take 1 minute, of course, in this case here, to tell you that as authors of these books here, you would really gain quite a lot by buying our revision kits, which have got questions and what here answers, questions and answers. And for you to be able to buy them for just 1,000 shillings, this is our what here, our number. These are our numbers: 0798 94 99 99. Then we have the second one, just in case one person is not picking. And then most importantly, since COVID-19, advent of COVID-19, going to physical classes is a waste of time. Join online classes, they are cheaper. Like us, we have our physical class, not physical, but our virtual normal classes cost only 3,500. Our revision classes like now, which are starting today, they're costing only 2,000 shillings. Revision classes, block release. Look at that cost effectiveness. Look at that cost effectiveness. And yet, remember, because of our model, you are able to get videos, you have these revision kits. That is why over 2,000 plus students are connected to our network. And then the other good thing about us is that we are all over in East Africa. We have Southern Sudanese, we have Somali students. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take this time to belabor the point that online classes are working what here? They are working magic. Don't go paying 20,000. Why? Pay little amounts here, which are for effective trainings, pass around one, and then of course, the moment you pass, you'll be able to bring us more and more students. Otherwise, thank you very much. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.